Maybe you're wondering to yourself, Amelia, how would I know if I needed to reinvent myself? Today, I have a checklist for change that might help you to determine if you're ready to reinvent yourself. My name is Amelia Sims, and this is Reinventing You, where I share my journey to reinvent myself. I post on Sundays and Tuesdays in the afternoons, and I would love for you to be a part of this tribe. If you subscribe now, you won't miss a moment of this reinventioning journey. So how does somebody know if they need to reinvent themselves? Well, everybody's an individual, everybody's life is different, and I don't know your life and what you're going through, but I know that there are several factors that you may need to look at to see if you are ready for a change in your life, to reinvent yourself. I've been reading a lot about reinventioning lately, and there are some people who feel like people need to reinvent themselves often in their lives, constantly, and that may be true, but I know some things that I had to look at when I was really saying, okay, I need to reinvent myself. The first thing that alerts a lot of people that they need to reinvent themselves, and it happened to me as well, is a significant change in your life, like something from the outside that affects you. And I actually had two things that happened at one time. First of all, my death of my mother, and the same time right after that, I turned 50. The grief and also the knowledge that I'm not getting any younger myself really led me to believe I needed to do something. I didn't know what at the time what it was. Another reason for reinventioning could be burnout, and I talked about that in my last video, and I have a link up here if you want to see more about what burnout is, especially for me. Are you unhappy? Now, I know that you can't really, there's not like a litmus test for happiness. Some things we think that are going to make us happy, like spending money or drinking or doing something like that. We might think, okay, this is going to make me happy, and then we do it and it doesn't make you happy. Do you feel unfulfilled? Now, this is also a slippery slope, because there are times in our lives where we just have to do the drudgery and get through the work. But if you're constantly doing things and you're never feeling like you're fulfilled in any way, then maybe it's time to think about you need to make a change in your life. That's the way it was for me. The next two items on the checklist have to do with one another. At least I think they're linked. And the first one is doing things to make other people happy. Of course, you really can never make other people happy, so you're really just spinning your wheels, and you're making yourself pretty miserable too. If you're trying to make somebody else happy, you're going to end up making yourself miserable. If you want to do something for somebody, that's one thing, but to constantly do something so that you will get a result is not a reason to do something. You do something for somebody, not for a result, but because you love them or you appreciate them. The thing that is linked with that is being inauthentic. A lot of times when you're trying to make other people happy, you end up being somebody that you're not. If you are trying to make people happy and you're being inauthentic, you are going to be miserable. And that's what I was finding myself. And of course, I mentioned this too in my first video, which I'll put a link to that as well, that you can understand a little bit where I'm coming from. But if you find yourself thinking, if I continue on the road I am, that I'm going to face some kind of addiction, infidelity, maybe depression, or even suicide, then that may be a time for reinventing yourself. Now, if you're feeling suicidal or contemplating taking your own life, please stop the video immediately and go to this website, suicidepreventionlifeline.org. That's suicidepreventionlifeline.org. However, if you realize in your life that you are going down this path, but not there yet, and that's the way I was, then you might think, okay, it's time for me to reinvent myself. So let me recap on the checklist items that I've mentioned. The first is some kind of major change or calamity or happening that has gone on in your life. The second is burnout. Then there's being unhappy. Then there's being unfulfilled. Then there's trying to make other people happy, and along with that is being inauthentic. There's that slippery slope down into addiction or depression or some other kind of something that might cause you self-harm or harm other people. And another thing that I didn't talk about, but it may happen even if you can't check all these other things, is maybe you just feel a need to change. Maybe there's something in you feel called to do something different. And then that is a reason to reinvent yourself. I hope this checklist has been helpful. I've written the checklist below so that if you missed one of these things, that you can follow along and look at that, as well as the suicidepreventionlifeline.org and also the 1-800-suicide prevention number. If you know somebody else that you feel like they may be going through some of this or all of this or any of these, you're welcome to share this channel with them. I'll let them know that I'm going through this reinventioning process. They may be interested in finding out more. It may be helpful for them. As usual, I am so thankful that you are part of this tribe and watching this video. I hope you've already subscribed. If you have not, then please do so now. And I can't wait to see you again on Reinventing You, either on next Sunday or next Tuesday. I'm Amelia Sims. Stay well.